Hello, all my dear students, and welcome to Sri Jendra Rank Zone classes. I'm your mentor Amit Ajmani, and in today's lecture, we'll be discussing the question answers related to the topic how do organisms reproduce. In the previous class, we have completed up the chapter, and I hope that you all have learnt all the details of the chapter and you're all well set to reply and give the answers to the various questions we'll be discussing today. Fine. So let us start directly with the questions. The first question is asexual reproduction is. The given options are: is it a fusion of specialized cells? No. It is sexual reproduction in which fusion or fertilization takes place. Is it a method by which all types of organisms reproduce? Obviously not. Is it a method producing genetically identical offsprings? Yes. In asexual reproduction, genetically identical offsprings are produced because only one parent is involved. Let us see the fourth option also. A method in which more than one parent are involved? No, because in asexual, only one parent is involved. So the correct answer to this question is option number C. Fine. Let us come to the second question. One of the following organisms does not reproduce by binary fission. Which one is these? Amoeba, it reproduces by binary fission. Leishmania also. Paramecium also. It is the Plasmodium. Plasmodium, if you remember, we discussed it many times. It is the malaria causing parasite and it reproduces by multiple fission, not binary fission. So B is the correct option to question number 2. Coming to the next question. The microorganism which reproduces by multiple fission is one which causes the disease known as. Now, just discussed multiple fission and malaria is what is caused by Plasmodium. Amoebiasis is caused by amoeba, unicellular organism reproducing by binary fission. Kala azar or leishmaniasis is caused by leishmania, again reproducing by the binary fission process. Marasmus is a deficiency disease. So the microorganism which causes malaria is Plasmodium, which reproduces through multiple fission. So we will mark the C option, malaria, to be our correct option to this question number 3. Coming to the next question. The protozoan having a flagellum at its one end is. Now flagellum is present in Leishmania. It is not present in amoeba. It is not present in paramecium. Paramecium has cilia. Hydra has tentacles. It is Leishmania which has got the flagellum. And something unique we also studied about Leishmania, that binary fission takes place along a particular plane along with this flagellum. So the answer to this question is option number D, Leishmania. Coming to the next question. In the list of organisms given below, those which reproduce by the asexual method are. Banana, yes, it reproduces by the asexual method of vegetative propagation, right? Yeast, again, yes, it reproduces by the process of budding. Yak, it reproduces sexually. Amoeba, yes, because it reproduces by the process of binary fission. So out of these organisms, banana, yeast and amoeba, they reproduce by the asexual method. Yak, the second option, doesn't reproduce by asexual method. So the answer will be first, third and fourth option. Let us see in A, it is second and fourth. Second is no, not there. First, third and fourth, yes, this is our correct option. Let us go through the other options also. First and fourth, third is not included. Second should not be there. So we will strike off the other two because of these reasons. We will mark B to be our answer to this question. Right? Coming to the next question now. Which of one of the following organisms does not reproduce by budding? Which of these do not reproduce? Sponge. We know that a colony of sponges are formed because of the budding, right? In yeast also budding takes place. Hydra, we also know that in Hydra, budding, bud formation is the mode of reproduction. Planaria, the flatworms, they do not reproduce by budding. So, planaria, option number D, you need to mark as the correct option. Next question is, the disease Kala Azar is caused by a microorganism. Which microorganism? It is Leishmania. Kala Azar is caused by Leishmania and malaria is caused by Plasmodium. These two things make sure you retain in your mind. Both these are very important and they will be repeated in many forms. Right? Next question. Reproduction is essential for living organisms in order to, why? To keep the individual organ alive. No, it is not meant for keeping the organ alive. This is a wrong statement. Reproduction is necessary to fulfill their energy requirements. No energy requirement is getting fulfilled by reproduction. To maintain growth, it's not for growth. To continue the species forever? Yes, this is the correct answer. Reproduction is meant for the continuation of the species, for the survival of the organisms. So D will be marking as the right answer. Next, the unicellular organism which reproduces by budding is Spirogara doesn't reproduce by budding. Hydra reproduces by budding, but it is not unicellular. Planaria doesn't reproduce by budding. Left answer is yeast because it is unicellular specified in the question. Had it not been unicellular, then Hydra also reproduces by budding, but we are talking about the unicellular organism, that is the yeast, in which the natural process of the reproduction is budding itself. So D, yeast is the right option. Let's come to the next question. A multicellular organism which reproduces by budding is, now we will go for Hydra. Amoeba reproduces by binary fission. Yeast reproduces by budding, but we need to focus on the word multicellular organism. Yeast is a unicellular organism. Leishmania reproduces by binary fission. So the right answer is Hydra. Clear? Coming to the next question. The offsprings formed by asexual reproduction method have greater similarity among themselves because, so what is the reason why they have got greater similarity? Because asexual reproduction involves only one parent. Yes, this is the right reason. Let's see the other statements also. Because asexual reproduction involves two parents? No. Asexual reproduction involves gametes. No gametes are involved in asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction does not involve gametes. Obviously, yes. So the first and the fourth statement are correct. Let us see where exactly these statements are given to us in the options. In A option, it is first and second. First is correct, but second is wrong. We will mark this off. First and third, again, third is not there. We'll strike it off. Second and fourth, second is not there. We'll strike it off. It is the first and fourth. So we will mark D because the first and the fourth statement are correct regarding the asexual reproduction method having similarity among themselves in the offsprings. Clear? Let's come to the next question. a simple multicellular animal having tentacles, which lives in fresh water, usually reproduces by the asexual process of. Now, first of all, we need to know which this organism is having tentacles. It is Hydra. Now, Hydra reproduces by binary fission? No. Hydra reproduces by spore formation? No. Hydra reproduces by budding? Yes. Hydra reproduces by fragmentation? No. So, this tentacles word is important, which will give us the hint that it is the Hydra we are talking about. Unless until we relate this organism, we will not be able to give the correct answer to this question. So please remember all such minute details that we need to observe in order to attempt the questions and in order to write the correct answers, gaining the marks. So in this case, having tentacles is Hydra, and Hydra reproduces by the process of budding. Right? Next, one of the following does not reproduce by spore formation method. Now, spore formation method is utilized by Rhizopus, by penicillin, and by Mucor. It is the yeast fungus which does not reproduce by spore formation. We have already studied that yeast reproduces through budding. If you remember, while I was taking up the teaching class, I specially told you that this is what exactly you need to learn. You need to learn the examples of the organisms, and you need to relate which organism reproduces by which method. And this is what we are seeing for so many questions now. In all the mostly all the questions, we are asked the same thing again and again in different ways, right? So if you are through and thorough, if you are totally through with this concept of learning the names of the examples of organisms, perfectly good. Otherwise, make sure that you relearn. Make sure that you relate all the organisms and their mode of reproduction along with their properties, like having tentacles on the body, having flagellum, causing kala azar, causing malaria. Such type of additional specific details, they need to be observed and learned. Clear? Next question is, one of the following reproduces by forming spores. This is ferns. The ferns and the mosses and the rhizopus, they reproduce through the spore formation. Spirogyra is through fragmentation. Planaria is through fragmentation and regeneration. Potato is through vegetative propagation. So side by side, looking at the other options, make sure that you revise yourself. Whatever you have learned, you can revise by relating and repeating the other options and their mode of reproduction. Next question says, the factor responsible for the rapid spreading of bread mold on slices of bread are. Now, bread mold is rhizopus, and we know that it reproduces through spore formation. Now, why bread mold rapidly spreads? Let us see the options. First option is presence of large number of spores in air. Yes, it is one of the main advantages of spore formation, that the large number of spores, they help in the rapid formation of the offsprings. Next statement is presence of large number of thread-like branched hyphae. Hyphae do not play any role. Presence of moisture and nutrients, perfect, because these are the favorable conditions under which these spores are going to develop into new rhizopus organisms. So this is also the correct factor or the correct statement. Next is formation of round shaped sporangia. Sporangia doesn't play any role into it. So the first and the third statements are correct. Let us see where we are having it in the options. In the very first option, we have got first and third. In the C option, second is incorrect. Second and fourth are incorrect. Fourth is incorrect. So all these are incorrect options. The correct option is our A option, and we are going to mark it. First and third statements are correct regarding the rapid spreading of bread mold on the slices of bread. Next question is, asexual reproduction through budding takes place in amoeba? No. In yeast? Yes. But in amoeba, because it doesn't take place, amoeba reproduces by binary fission. Wrong statement. Yeast, correct. Hydra, correct. So this is our correct option, right? Next is hydra, correct. Plasmodium, no. Plasmodium is multiple fission. Corals, correct. Sponges, correct. So fourth is also correct. So second and fourth are right options. Let us see. In first, we have got first and second. It's wrong. We'll strike it off. First and third. First is not there. Strike it off. Only second. No. It is second and fourth. So D should be our answer to this question. Got it? Coming to the next question. A feature of reproduction that is common to amoeba, yeast, and bacterium. Now, what exactly is the feature which is common in all? They are all multicellular? Obviously not. They are all unicellular? No. They reproduce only sexual? Obviously not. They reproduce asexually is the correct answer. Their feature of reproduction. We need to find something common in their feature of reproduction, not their body design, right? Because reproduction does not depend on the body design. So the main common thing between these three is that they all, amoeba, yeast and bacterium, they reproduce asexually. Clear? Coming to the 18th question. One of the following organisms does not reproduce by fission. Which one of these is this? Amoeba, binary fission. Leishmania, binary fission. Planaria, no, it is a flatworm, reproduces through regeneration. Plasmodium, multiple fission, again fission. So Planaria is the organism which does not reproduce by fission, and hence this will be our choice as an answer. Clear? Coming to the next question, 19th question says, an organism which may be considered to be a kind of plant and reproduces by budding is it paramecium, is it bread mold, or hydra, or yeast? Now bread mold is rhizopus, doesn't reproduce by budding. Hydra is basically it reproduces by budding, but it is not considered to be a kind of plant. Similarly, paramecium also not considered as a kind of plant, reproduces by budding, but not a kind of plant. The correct answer is yeast. It is a kind of fungus that may be considered because it grows just like plants on the surfaces. So the correct answer is D, that is the yeast. Coming to the next question, an animal which reproduces by the process of budding is Plasmodium, no, multiple fission. Yeast, yes, budding, but it's not an animal. So in this case, we will mark Hydra. Planaria also does not reproduce by budding. Only yeast and Hydra, they reproduce by budding. And when we are talking about plant, in the above question, we marked yeast, not Hydra. And in this question, we were asked which animal. So we will be marking Hydra. I hope you are able to differentiate between both the questions. Clear? Let us come to the next question. In Spirogyra, we know that fragmentation takes place. Asexual reproduction takes place by division of a cell into two cells? No. Is it through breaking up of filaments into smaller bits? Yes. Is it division of a cell into many cells? No. Is it the formation of large number of buds? Obviously not. So the B option is the correct one. That in Spirogyra, it is the breaking up of filaments into smaller bits, because of which the asexual reproduction takes place in it. Got it? Coming to the next question. The ability of a cell to divide into several cells during reproduction in Plasmodium. Now, what is the mode of reproduction in Plasmodium? I don't think there is much to discuss about it. We know that the right answer is multiple fission, D. You see, Plasmodium is same, multiple fission is same, but the way the question has been asked has been changed so many times in different ways. Right? So Plasmodium does not reproduce by budding or fragmentation of or binary fission. It reproduces by the process of multiple fission, and in this process it has got the ability in which its one cell is divided into several cells. Clear? Next question is, in Rhizopus fungus, the fine thread-like structures spread on the whole surface of slice of bread are called. Now those thread-like structures are actually the hyphae, right? They are not the rhizoids, they are not the stems or the roots, they are the hyphae which spread on the whole surface of slice of bread. So D will be the right choice for marking in this particular question. Coming to the next question. Vegetative propagation refers to the formation of new plants from the following existing organs of the old plants. From where exactly vegetative propagation may take place? Stems, yes. Roots, yes, but not flowers. So we will strike it off. Stems, yes. Roots, yes. Leaves, yes. This is the correct answer. Stems, okay. Flowers, no. Strike it off. Stem, leaves and flowers, strike it off. So the vegetative propagation takes place through the stems, roots or leaves of the plants. So B is the right answer. Clear? Next question. The two organisms which can regenerate fully from their cut body parts are. Now these two organisms are, options are Paramecium, no. Hydra, yes. Hydra, yes, but not amoeba. Planaria, yes, not Leishmania. Hydra and Planaria, yes. Both of them can regenerate fully. Both of them, they can reproduce by the process of regeneration. Right? So we will mark D to be the correct answer. Okay. Next question. The two types of organisms which produce colonies by the process of budding. Now colonies are corals and sponges, not hydra, not yeast. Yeast doesn't form colonies. Corals and sponges, right? So these will be making colonies by the process of budding, because the bud remains attached to the surface. It never detaches off. That is why they can form colonies. Clear to all? Next question. Spore formation is the most common asexual of method of reproduction in. Is it protozoa? Is it tubers? Is it fungi or algae? Of course it is fungi, because spore formation we have studied in Mucor, in Penicillium and in Rhizopus, which is a fungus. So spore formation is the most common asexual method of reproduction in fungi. C option is the correct one. Coming to the next question. An alga which reproduces by the asexual reproduction called fragmentation. Which one of these is reproducing through fragmentation? Rhizopus? No. Salmonella? No. Plasmodium, no, it is Spirogyra, which reproduces through fragmentation. Got it? Next. The next question also is the same, but options are added. The organisms which can reproduce by fragmentation are corals and sponges. They do it through budding. Corals, strike it off. Sea anemones and Spirogyra. Yes. Sea anemones and Spirogyra both reproduce by fragmentation. Sea anemones are correct, but sponges, they reproduce by budding. So we will mark C to be the correct answer. Next question is, binary fission describes the type of reproduction where the organism divides to form many spores. No, it is spore formation. Two daughter cells. Yes. Many buds. No, it is budding. Two hyphae. No, it is spore formation again. So binary fission will describe the type of reproduction where a parent organism will divide to form two daughters. Clear? B will be the correct option. Next question is, the cut part of the plant stem without roots, which is used in grafting, is called stalk. No, it is the part with roots. Stump. No, it is the scion. Graft also does the incorrect option. So we will mark the option to be scion. In the next question, he is asking the same question but with roots. The cut part of plant stem having roots and fixed to the ground, used in the process of grafting. Now it is stalk. So we need to remember that stalk is having roots and fixed to the ground, the lower part of grafting, and scion is the part which is without roots, the upper part. Clear? Stalk and scion. Do not get confused in both. Next is, multiple fission occurs in one of the following. Is it bread mold? No. Rhizopus is the bread mold. It reproduces by spore formation. We have seen so many questions. Kala azar. It is Leishmania, binary fission. Flatworm, planaria. No. It reproduces by the process of fragmentation. Malarial parasite Plasmodium reproduces through multiple fission. So the malarial parasite, that is Plasmodium, reproduces by multiple fission. Out of these four options, D will be the correct option. Next question says, an organism having a whip-like structure at one end. Whip-like structure is the flagellum. Where is flagellum present? In Leishmania. Another hint is, it produces by binary fission. Hydra has tentacles, Paramecium has cilia, Plasmodium has nothing. Right? So it is Leishmania which has got a whip-like structure called flagellum. Clear? C option is the correct one. Question number 35. Let's see. A tiny animal having tentacle. Which one is them? Hydra. Which reproduces by growing buds on its sides of its body. Side of its body, buds, tentacles, simply Hydra. D option. It's not planaria, it's not yeast, it's not amoeba. Hydra will mark it directly, gain marks. Next question. An organism which can reproduce by two asexual reproduction methods. One similar to the reproduction in yeast. Now yeast, we know that it reproduces through budding. And the other similar to the reproduction in planaria. Planaria is fragmentation. So out of these, we know that Hydra reproduces by both of these methods. Spirogyra is by fragmentation. Bryophyllum is through vegetative propagation. Sea anemones, they also reproduce through fragmentation. So Hydra is the one which can reproduce by both the methods. One is budding, which is common with hydra and yeast, and one is fragmentation, degeneration, sorry, which is common with hydra and planaria. Clear? Next question. Stalk and scion just studied. What are stalk and scion? The part having the roots and the part without roots are involved in the artificial propagation method known as grafting. Fine, we have just studied in the above question. It is the method of grafting in which we just connect and combine stalk and scion. Clear? Next question is, in asexual reproduction, two offsprings having the same genetic material and the same body features are called. Are they callus? No. Are they twins? No, because it is asexual reproduction. Is it clones? Yes. These are called clones. Obviously, they are not called the chromosomes. They are totally identical. That is why they are called clones to each other. C will be the correct answer. Next question is the method of asexual reproduction in which callus is produced. Now this method is micropropagation or the tissue culture artificial technique through which callus is produced. So the right answer is micropropagation. Next question, quite a big question. Let us see what it is saying. A planaria worm is cut horizontally in the middle into two halves P and Q, such that the part P contains the whole head of the worm. Right? Now, another planaria worm is cut vertically into two halves R and S, such that both the cut pieces R and S contain half head each. Which of the cut pieces of the two planaria worms could regenerate to form the complete respective worms? We know that a planaria can be cut into many parts, whether it contains the head or not. They have the ability to regenerate themselves. So all these PQRS, all of them will be able to regenerate themselves to form complete respective worms. Right? Having the head or not having the head, it is just the language used to confuse you. It doesn't make any difference with planaria. So all the parts PQRS, they will regenerate themselves. So the right answer we will be marking as the D option. Fine. Next, the anther contains. What does it contain? Is it sepals? No, sepals are the parts of the bud. Ovules, no, they are contained in the female reproductive part. Carpel in itself is the female reproductive part. It is the pollen grains. Anther contain pollen grains. Anther is a part of stamen, which is the male reproductive organ in the plants. Next question. Which of the following is not a part of the female reproductive system in human beings? Ovaries are present, obviously, they are the main reproductive organs. Uterus is present because the implantation and development of embryo takes place there. Vas deferens. This vas deferens is present in the male reproductive system. Spermy duct. The other name of vas deferens is spermy duct, which carries sperms. Oviducts or the fallopian tubes are present in female reproductive system where fertilization takes place. So vas deferens is obviously not a part of the female reproductive system, and this is our option which we are going to mark in this question. Next, one of the following is not a part of the human male reproductive system. Now, testes are present. These are the main reproductive organs in males. Oviduct or the fallopian tubes we have just related in the above question, and that is the advantage of taking up all the options, reading and understanding and revising, because those will give you the answers to many questions ahead. oviduct or the fallopian tube is a part of the female reproductive system, not the male reproductive system. Seminal vesicle are present in males and prostate gland are present in males. Both of them add their secretions to the sperms. So B, oviduct is our right answer, which is not a part of the male reproductive system. Next, which of the following is not a sexually transmitted disease? Now we know that gonorrhea, syphilis and AIDS are all sexually transmitted diseases. It is hepatitis, which is not a sexually transmitted disease. So B will be marking the right option. Let us see the next question. Which of the following method of contraception protects a person from acquiring a sexually transmitted disease? So we know these are the condoms. These are the only methods of contraception which can protect acquiring a sexually transmitted disease because they avoid any kind of direct physical contact between the males and the females, right? Rest of the other options, whether it is oral pills or copper tea or surgery, cannot prevent the sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, so B will be the correct answer. Next question. In which one of the following birth control methods a small portion of oviducts of a woman is removed by surgical operation and the cut ends are ligated? The process is called tubectomy. Ectomy means to cut, and tube. Which tube is being talked about? The fallopian tube. So tubectomy is the method in which contraception is done by cutting the small portion of oviducts or the fallopian tubes. This is in females. In males, the same process is vasectomy. Once again, ectomy means to cut the vas deferens. Clear? The copper T and the diaphragm, they are basically not the surgical operations. Okay. Next question is, one of the following is a surgical method which prevents the sperms from reaching the ovum and pregnancy does not occur. Now there are only two surgical methods. One is tubectomy done in females and another is vasectomy done in males. When we are talking about sperms, then we will be marking the vasectomy option, because if we are talking about in females, then in that case we have seen that in the above question it was tubectomy. Here it will be vasectomy, cutting the vas deferens, okay, or the spermy duct. Next, fertilization result immediately in the formation of, we know that the fertilized egg is called a zygote. When it undergoes repeated cell divisions, then that development stages, that is called an embryo. After the development stages are over and tissue and organ formation takes place, now this is called a fetus, right? So these are the different names given to the same organism, that is zygote. After that division starts and then it is called embryo, and after completion of the cell division and formation of body structure it is called a fetus or an offspring. Placenta is just a structure for connection, doesn't have any kind of relevance with fertilization and the byproduct. Fine. Now the next question is, which one of the following best describes the function of the umbilical cord? Let us see. It feeds the embryo with digested substances. Not exactly. It conveys the nutrients and wastes to and from the embryo respectively. Exact function is this. It removes the waste matter from the embryo to the mother's blood. It also performs this function. It supplies oxygenated blood from the mother to the embryo, also one of the specific functions. But the main function when we are talking about the best description of the umbilical cord, mainly it is nutrients along with the waste. In the rest of the two options, it is only either waste or oxygenated blood, but it is nutrients also. So in second B option, we get both the things of C and D. So it's better to mark B because it includes both the things of C and D option. So B will be the best possible answer to this question, right? Next, the sexually transmitted disease which is caused by bacteria is. Now, is it malaria? Malaria in itself is not an STD. Diarrhea is not an STD. They are not sexually transmitted diseases. Gonorrhea, yes, it is a sexually transmitted disease, and this one is caused by bacteria. AIDS is also a sexually transmitted disease, but it is caused by, we know that it is virus, human immunodeficiency virus. Fine. Next question. AIDS is a deadly disease which is caused by protozoan, fungus, bacterium, virus. We have just discussed above. It is the HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, which causes AIDS. Right? Coming to the next question. The advantage that internal fertilization has over external fertilization is that in internal fertilization, now we know what exactly are internal and external fertilization. Internal fertilization is the fusion of male and female gamete inside the female body, whereas external fertilization is the fusion of male and female gamete outside the female body. Now, what are the advantages of internal? Let us see the options. New offsprings are exactly like the parent. They can't be because fertilization means sexual reproduction and it never produces the exact clones. So it is a wrong option. The advantage is production of large number of gametes is unnecessary. It is in itself, it is a wrong statement. The another advantage is copulation and fusion of gametes is passive. It is not an advantage of it. The advantage is that because of this, fewer individuals are produced because it is internal fertilization inside the female body. So as a result of it, one of the advantages is fewer individuals are produced. So D will be the right answer to question number 52. Coming to the next question. The figure given alongside, no figure is given to us. So I think the figure has been misprinted. It shows the human male reproductive organ, which structures make sperms and seminal fluid. So now the structures are not given to us. So I don't think that we'll be able to actually relate this question for right now, right? But we know that sperm formation is the function of testes. Testes produce sperms. So wherever the testes will be, we'll be marking that. And seminal fluid, this is added by the prostate gland and seminal vesicle. So seminal vesicle, whatever the labeling will be there in the diagram, you directly mark that, right? Fine. So testes form sperms and seminal vesicle forms the seminal fluid. So leaving this question because of the lack of the presence of diagram with us, coming to the next question. In a flower, the parts that produce male and female gametes are respectively. The male part is basically what? Sepal, obviously not. Filament and stigma, the parts that produce, no. It is the anther and ovary. Anther has got the pollen grains in which male gametes are present, and ovary produces the female gamete, ova and egg. So C is the right answer. Coming to the next question, which of the following is the correct sequence of events of sexual reproduction in flowers? First of all, pollination will occur, perfectly fine. Then fertilization will take place, perfectly fine. Seed formation will take place, and then seed embryo. No. Embryo comes first, seed comes later. So this is wrong. Seed and embryo come before fertilization and pollination. Can't happen. Let's see the C part. Pollination is taking place, then fertilization between the male and female gamete, then embryo formation and formation of seed. Yes, this is the correct sequence. Again, in the D part, embryo and seed can't proceed the pollination and fertilization. So C is the correct sequence of events of sexual reproduction in a flower. Let's see the next question. The characteristics transmitted from parents to offsprings are present in. Are they present in cytoplasm? No. They are present in ribosomes? No. In Golgi bodies? No. They are present in genes. Genes is the correct option, and that is why genes are called the units of inheritance, because they contain those genetic information, those characteristics, those proteins meant for body design. They carry all these from parents to offsprings. So genes, part number, option number D will be what we are going to mark. Let's see the next question. Characters that are transmitted from parents to offspring during sexual reproduction show only similarities with parents? No. Only variations with parents? Not at all. Both similarities and variations with parents? Exactly. There are many features which the offspring will be having in common with the mother and with the father, and there will be so many features which will be different also. So it will show both similarities and variations. It cannot show only similarities, cannot show only variations. Neither similarities nor variations is also an incorrect option. So the right answer is option number C, both similarities and variations with parents. Clear? Next question. The number of chromosomes in parents and offsprings of a particular species remains constant. Now we know that the number of chromosomes present in parents and offsprings is 2n, that is the diploid number of chromosomes. Why it remains same? The reason is, let us see the option. Doubling of chromosomes after zygote formation can't be. Halving of chromosomes during gamete formation. This is the right answer. We know that the parent's male has 2n diploid number of chromosomes. Female mother also has diploid number of chromosomes. When the gamete formation take place, these diploid numbers are actually reduced to half. That is the haploid number. Now, when the fertilization take place, one gene from this parent and another from this parent will combine to form the right number of chromosomes, that is diploid. It may be this combination or this combination or this combination or this combination. We have studied in heredity that there are various crosses because of which these genetic combinations will take place, and it is the conversion of the diploid number of chromosomes into haploid, that is halving of chromosomes, because of which the number of chromosomes in parents and offsprings remain constant, that is diploid. It can't be doubling of chromosomes. Now halving of chromosomes after gamete formation, there is no use after gamete formation takes place. It should be during gamete formation. Clear? So just going for the halving, don't go for it. This halving of chromosomes, both options are there. We need to relate the full option. We need to understand what is the difference between two, and then we'll mark the right option, which in this case is option number B. I hope you have understood specifically this question, right? Let us come to the next one. The length of pollen tube depends on the distance between. Now we know that the function of pollen tube is to carry the pollen grains from stigma and to the ovule so that fertilization may take place, right? So what should be the length of the pollen tube? It is dependent on whether the pollen grain and upper surface of stigma? No. Whether the pollen grain on upper surface of stigma and ovule? Yes. Because stigma to ovule, this should be the length of the pollen tube. Anther, no need, because anther is a part of the stamen and pollen tube doesn't relate anywhere to stamen or the male reproductive organ. Upper part of stigma and lower part of style, we are not concerned with style. It should be the ovule because that is where the pollen grains and the male gametes need to enter. So B will be the choice. Clear? Coming to the next question. Which of the following statements are true for flowers? Flowers are always bisexual. No. We know that papaya and watermelon, they were unisexual. I specially told you to learn those two examples. So this statement is wrong about flowers. Do they contain sexual reproductive organs? Yes, they do contain. They contain the stamen, the male reproductive organ, as well as the carpel or pistil, that is the female reproductive organ. They are produced in all groups of plants? No, they are not produced because there are so many non-flowering plants, gymnosperms, we have studied in the previous classes. After fertilization, they give rise to fruits. Yes, fruit, seed, both. Right? So the second and the fourth statements are correct. Now in the first option, it is misprinting. It is the first one. So first is an incorrect statement. We'll cross it off. Third again is an incorrect statement. Cross it off. Second and third. Second is correct statement, but third is not. Cross it off. Second and fourth. Yes, both the statements are true. So we will mark D to be our option for this question. Got it? Coming to the next question. The correct sequence of organs in the male reproductive system for the transport of sperms is testes, 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 testes. Obviously, sperms are produced in testes. Now, from here, the testes go to the vas deferens. Yes, right? And then from there, they go to the urethra. Yes. So A, the very first option is our correct option. Let us see what are the other options. Testes are going to ureter? No, because ureter are the tubes which come from kidneys carrying urine from the kidneys to the urinary bladder. So ureters is not included in the male reproductive system. And since in all of the rest three options ureter is specified, we will literally strike them off, marking them to be the incorrect options. So A is the correct sequence of organs. The sperms are produced in testes. From testes, they are carried by vas deferens and they are directly poured to the urethra because the vas deferens joins with urethra. Fine. Coming to the next question. In human males, the testes lie in the scrotum outside the body because it helps in the, now we know this very important function, that scrotum or the scrotal sac, it lies outside the abdominal cavity because of thermoregulation, because it provides a bit lesser temperature than the body temperature, which is actually for the efficient production of sperms. That is why testes are located in scrotum. So let us see the options. Is it helping in the process of mating? Obviously not. In the formation of sperms? Yes. In the easy transfer of sperms? Not related. All the above can't be. So it is the temperature which is optimum for the best formation and production of sperms. That is why testes are located in the scrotal sac or scrotum. Coming to the next question, which among the following are not the functions of testes at puberty? Formation of germ cells, one of the main functions, because testes are the reproductive organs, right? Secretion of testosterone, yes, these are the hormones which are secreted by testes. Development of placenta, placenta is formed in females, so testes will not play any role in females. Secretion of estrogen, now this is also a hormone which is secreted in females by ovaries, no role to be played by testes. So among these, statement number 3 and statement number 4 are not the functions of testes. So our correct option will be A is 1 and 2, no. 1 and 3, no. 2 and 4, no. It is 3 and 4, that is the D part. Third statement and the fourth statement, they are false statement regarding the functions of testes at puberty. Let's see what is the next question being asked. During adolescence, several changes occur in the human body. Mark one change from the following associated with sexual maturation in boys. Right? Is it loss of milk teeth? No, obviously not. It is not related with puberty. Increase in height, not related to puberty, function of growth hormone. Cracking of voice, yes. Deep voice. This represents sexual maturation in boys. Weight gain, nothing to do with puberty. So the right answer is C, cracking of voice. Clear? Next question. In human females, event that indicates the onset of reproductive phases. Once again, reproductive phase, puberty. In humans, the growth of the body, no, it starts from day one. Change in hair pattern, not at all. Is it the change in voice? It may be menstruation. Exactly. Voice may be changed because of some other factors, but menstruation simply means that ova, egg has been reproduced, egg has been, sorry, secreted. The immature follicle has been converted into ova, ovulation has taken place. That simply means that onset of reproductive phase has been indicated by menstruation. D will be the correct answer. Okay. Now the next question is, the offsprings formed as a result of sexual reproduction exhibit more variations. Why? Let us see the reason. Because sexual reproduction is a lengthy process? No. Because the genetic material comes from two parents of different species? No. Different species cannot reproduce. Next is, genetic material comes from two parents of same species? Exactly. This is the main reason why variations occur in sexual reproduction, because two parents are involved and those two parents should be from the same species. Right? Let us see the next option also. Genetic material comes from many parents. No, only two parents are there. Right? Now the next question is, one of the following occurs in the reproductive system of flowering plants as well as that of humans. This is, now let us see, vas deferens. This is the spermy duct only present in the reproductive system of humans, not the plants. Anther, it is present only in plants, part the swollen tip of the stamen, the male reproductive part of plants. Ovary, yes. Ovary is present both in the females as well as the flowers. So ovary will be the right answer. This is the organ or the part which is found in the reproductive system of both the flowering plants also as well as the humans also. Let us see the next option also, style. This is found only in plants, not in humans. So we will mark C to be the right answer. Clear? Coming to the next question. Which among the following statements are true for unisexual flowers? They possess both stamen and pistil. Now, stamen is the male reproductive part, pistil is the female reproductive part. They cannot contain both because they are unisexual. So, the first statement is not true. The second statement says they possess either stamen or pistil. Exactly. Because this is the main reason why they are called to be unisexual flowers. Next feature is they exhibit cross pollination. Yes, they may have cross pollination. They have to do it because in one flower it is basically one sex only. So they have to, if they want to just reproduce, they have to do the cross pollination because self pollination is not possible. Unisexual flowers possessing only stamens cannot produce fruits, obviously, because only stamens are present and fruits will be produced only through carpel or pistil. The female reproductive organ needs to be there. So how can unisexual flowers produce fruits? They can't. So statement number second, third and fourth all are correct, and this is found in option number B. So option number B is the right answer to this question, which says that statement number 2, 3 and 4 are correct regarding the unisexual flowers. Clear? Let's come to the next question. Which of the following statements are true for sexual reproduction in flowering plants? First is it requires two type of gametes. Yes, it does, because for sexual reproduction we require two gametes. Fertilization is a compulsory event. Obviously yes, because the gametes, unless until they fertilize, how reproduction will be caused, how offspring or zygote will be formed. So fertilization is a compulsory event if we are talking about sexual reproduction. Next is it always results in the formation of zygote. Yes, because fertilization is taking place. So obviously sexual reproduction after fertilization, zygote will be formed. Fourth statement is offsprings formed are clones. No, now this is wrong statement, because sexual reproduction taking two gametes, male as well as females, variations will be there. Cloning is not possible. Clones are formed when we are talking about the asexual reproduction, not the sexual one. That is why the fourth statement is incorrect. And now looking for the first, second and third statement, we see that the C option has them all. First, second and third. This will be the right answer. Got it? Coming to the next question now. One of the following processes does not lead to the formation of clones. We just discussed above that clones are formed as a result of only asexual mode of reproduction. So let us see what are the options given to us. Fission, it is an asexual mode, it will lead to cloning. Fertilization, fertilization is the fusion of male and female gamete. Fertilization is an event of sexual reproduction, and if fertilization is taking place, that means sexual reproduction is taking place, because of which now variations will occur, clones will not be formed. So fertilization is the process which does not lead to the formation of clones. Fragmentation, tissue culture, all are asexual modes. They will lead to the formation of clones, no doubt, but not fertilization. So we will mark B to be our right answer. Let us see the next question. In the figure given alongside, the parts marked A, B and C are sequentially. Now, I'm extremely sorry because I think while copying this particular file, the diagrams, they were missed. One previous question we have seen that also was regarding the diagram. This is also regarding the given figure alongside. The figure is not shown over here, and at the moment even I don't know what exactly the figure was, so I cannot even make it with my hand, so I need to apologize for it. And for the timing we need to leave this question, because over there in the figure, whatever figure it was, there were A, B and C. Now what we can do is we can compensate for the loss of figure by keeping in mind that these A, B, C, let us see the options. Either it is cotyledon, plumule, radical, cotyledon, plumule, cotyledon, radical, cotyledon, plumule. So whatever figure would have been, we can relate that this should be this kind of figure in which we have got two cotyledons. Then there must have been a radical going down and the plumule going up. We know that the future root is called the radical, the future shoot is called the plumule, and these are the cotyledons. So whatever figure it would have been, you just try to relate what labelings are given. This should be the shoot system, that is the plumule. This should be the root, that is the radical, and these two are the cotyledons providing the nutrition. So simply you can see what are ABC, accordingly you can mark. Fine. So I hope you'll be able to do it. Let us see the next question. Correct sequence of reproductive stages occurring in flowering plants is. What is the sequence given? Gametes are formed, then zygote will be formed, then embryo will be formed, then seed will be formed. Perfectly fine. This is exactly what the sequence is, right? This is the sequence of reproductive stages. Now let us see the other options and let us try to give the reason why they are the wrong options. Zygote is formed before the gametes. Can't happen. Seed is formed before the gametes. Can't happen. Gametes are formed, perfectly formed, fine. But out of embryo and zygote, we know that the first name that we give to the fertilized egg is zygote. After that, in the development stages, it is given the name embryo. So that is why this is also an incorrect option. So the correct sequence of reproductive stages occurring in flowering plants is, first of all, gamete formation take place. These gametes will fertilize to form a zygote. This zygote will undergo repeatedly cell divisions, and now it will be given the name embryo, and after that it will be converted into seed. A is the correct option. Clear? Next question is the part of a seed which grows and develops into root. Now, the part of the seed which will grow into root, that is the future root, is the radical, right? Had it been the future shoot, then it would have been plumule, right? At times students get confused in plumule and radical. Simply R for radical, R for root. So plumule and radical will be the two parts. R for root, R for radical. These are the future roots. So therefore plumule must be the future shoot. Simple to remember. Okay. Coming to the next question. The male gametes in a flower and in a human are produced respectively in. Now the male gametes in a flower are produced in anther, and the male gametes in humans are produced by testes. So let us see, where are anther and testes? Stigma ovary, can't be. Anther and style, no. Ovary, no. Anther and testes, yes. So because we are given the word respectively, anther should come first, and testes in humans, the male gametes are formed by testes. It should come later, which is there in the D option. So we will mark D option straight away. Clear? This is our right answer. Let us see the next question. The ratio of number of chromosomes in human zygote and a human sperm is a very good question. Now in human zygote, we just studied above in the same lecture 10 minutes back that human zygote, it is formed after fertilization. It contains the diploid number 2n number of chromosomes, whereas human sperm is a gamete, and in sex cells the number is reduced to half, haploid number. So now if we try to relate the relation between them, the ratio and relation is 2 is to 1, and this will be our right answer. Very importantly, had it been human sperms first and zygote later, then it would have been 1 is to 2. Please try to understand what I am trying to say. It is the zygote coming first. That is why the ratio is 2 is to 1. But if it would have been, what is the ratio between sperm and zygote? Now the sperm is haploid number and the zygote is diploid number. So now the ratio will be 1 is to 2, not 2 is to 1. So please try to focus. Never, never, never be casual. Try to relate and be very cautious while giving your answers, because the worst part is when you know the correct answer and still because of lack of observation you make any error. That is something which is really very, very, very bad, and you really repent and regret why you made this error. When you come to know the right answer, afterwards, after coming from the exam, you discuss it with your friends or with your colleagues or teachers. And when you get to know, it's simply you put a hand on your head, and the first reaction is, why the hell I was so casual? Why didn't I think there? Why didn't I relate there? I knew it. So make sure that whatever answer you know should not be wrong just because of your lack of observation. Clear? Coming to the next question and the last question. Yeah, I'm focusing on the word last. I know that you are just, your ears are shot up the moment. Yeah, sir, what you said? Last question? Yes, it is the last question. So now you are just changing your positions. Okay, this is good now. Last question. Let's be attentive. Huh? Students all together everywhere are always same, no exceptions. Alright, coming to the last question. The normal body cell of an organism which contains, please focus on this question, very good question. The normal body cell of an organism which contains 28 pairs of chromosomes. Just an example, hypothetical value. Now the number of chromosomes present in a germ cell will be, first of all, this is a normal body cell and it is 28 pairs. So it is a diploid number 2n. When we are talking about germ cells, means sex cells, it has to be reduced to half. So if it is 2 and 28 pairs, that means 28 into 2, that means total there are 56. So in the germ cell it will be reduced to half and it will be 28. The word pairs is very important. When this question came actually 3 years back, then in that case many of the students, they told, sir, a very simple question was there. A body cell was containing 28 chromosomes and the germ cell will contain the half. Answer should be 14. No, sir. It is 28 pairs. So when you reduce it to half, it will be half of 28 pairs. That is 28. It is not single 28. So 28 pairs. Focus on each and every word given in the question if you want to gain marks. Clear? So that is why I said it was a good question. And I hope that most of you must have found it good. That yes sir, it was good question. Fine. So these are the questions about how do organisms reproduce. I hope you all must have enjoyed, because there are so many questions which were really good, which actually required you people to think, to observe, to relate. So now, after doing all these questions, you need to make sure that now you know the answers of all of these, and you need to make sure that whatever precautions, whatever focus, whatever concentration is required to understand the language of such questions, you will definitely make sure that you will relate the language. You will relate the options, and then only you are going to give the answers. Got it? So, learn whatever you feel you are lacking in how do organisms reproduce. This is all about it. We are ending the session here only. This class, this lecture, till how do organisms reproduce, all the questions. In the next lecture, we'll meet with a new topic. Till then, learn. Till then, revise. Till then, make sure that you are 100% over with how do organisms reproduce. Got it? So we'll meet in the next class. Till then, stay happy, stay healthy, have a great day. Meet in the next class with new topic.